Hey everyone, talking about the best vanilla fragrances that I've ever smelled, just going off of like how good does it smell to me. So I'm not saying these are all objectively the highest quality ones you could find, specifically going off of just the smell good factor, which is what's most important to me. So there's some that are, yes, very expensive on here. There's also some that are on the more affordable end, not in any particular order. And I think something for everyone here, as long as you don't hate vanilla, there's unisex, feminine, and masculine. So yeah, jumping in, again, not in any particular order. One, Love and Crime by Idolo. I think this, well, obviously smells so good. It's like a nice combination of a vanilla cake or baked good type of gourmand, but also has this elegant flair to it at the same time and some fresh florals in the mix. There's a red mandarin note here that is like slightly lemony bergamot smelling, and it's sort of how that style is in Lyra by Xerjoff or Sexiest Scent on the Planet by 4160 Tuesdays. Just a great smelling take on a vanilla gourmand that doesn't just feel generic, doesn't feel too babyish, and I really like it. Next up, Vanille Eau de Parfum by Franck Boclet. Nice, warm vanilla. It gives me this kind of toasted waffle cone vibe. I just think it smells great. The vanilla is thick in this sort of like boozy bourbon vanilla way, but not cloying. Like, it's not like, oh my god, that's too syrupy. It's just like kind of thick, if that makes any sense. The caramel gives it this caramelized sheen, and it doesn't really smell like just sickly sweet caramel. It's like it caramelizes the other notes, if that makes sense. Some people compare this to when I just mentioned Lyra by Xerjoff and Unknown Pleasures by Kerosene, which I could see, but to me this is less citrusy than either of those are. And overall, I think this is just a really nice smelling vanilla scent that also has some warmth to it. Next, Diptyque Eau Duelle, specifically the Eau de Toilette version. Really nice, and for my taste, I actually like it better than the Eau de Parfum version. The EDP version is just a bit too boozy for me, whereas this one to me feels more well balanced with the other notes. One of my favorite Diptyque fragrances, of course, since it's on here, one of my favorite vanillas, the kind of scent that just plain smells good, period. There's a really nice fresh aromatic side to balance the vanilla too, along with some balsamic and like some gently smoky background qualities. It's not an over-the-top sweet, thick cloud like some vanillas are. Really nice mix of sweet, fresh, and aromatic, and then again some darker notes as well. The full list of notes in that one is cardamom, cypress, elemi, juniper, saffron, calamus, black tea, incense, amber, and then lots of vanilla and some white musk. Next up, Cuir Beluga by Guerlain. Really rich, smooth vanilla and very smooth suede / leather type of scent. I saw somebody say this smells to them like Play-Doh dipped in vanilla extract, and to me, I could totally see that, but like a very high quality, yum, delicious smelling version of that. Really well done vanilla if you like rich, thick, creamy, and powdery vanilla with a refined edge from the suede, and then kind of a more ambery vibe in the dry down. Next, Dreaming with Ghosts by Mark Buxton. Sweet and uplifting and fresh, but with some darker balance to it as well. Reminds me a little bit of Solstice by Fragrance Du Bois, and I love that one. Also reminds me a little bit of one of my favorite designer fragrances, which would be the Love is Love Pour Homme edition of Light Blue by Dolce & Gabbana, which has like a vanilla ice cream note in it. The vanilla here is creamy and cool, and it kind of envelops the smooth leather and vetiver in a really nice way. And again, just one of those things that just smells good, period. It's not like, oh, that's high quality. Oh, I'm picking up notes of a dash of it. It's just like, oh, that's good. What is that? Like as soon as I smell it. Next, definitely on the more affordable end, Club Black by Mercedes-Benz. This to me smells like a creamy vanilla cigar. And if I read that description, I might not think it sounds good because I don't necessarily want to smell like just an earthy style cigar or something, but it's very much vanilla-y and just like a little bit of that smoky vibe. And I also get that kind of toasted waffle cone vibe from this one as well. I think the main notes in it, and this is marketed as masculine but very easily unisex, would be like vanilla, jasmine, and incense. Next, Vanilla Sky by Skylar. Creamy, warm, and woodsy caramelized vanilla. I'm sure a lot of people would smell this and think like, oh, that smells so cheap, or that's what is this doing on this list or whatever. But this to me has that factor of just like, like it just smells like a nice vanilla when I smell it, and I like it. Good take on like a gourmand style vanilla, I would say. It totally has that sweet dessert type of feel. And it's also like an elegant-ish, not too immature, over-the-top version to my nose. I also really like the touch of woods that it has in it. And I think this one leans feminine, but it could easily enough be unisex too if you were just wearing it out and about and you're more masculine presenting. But very, very wearable as far as vanilla gourmand type of scents go. And if I walked by someone wearing it, I would definitely think they smelled really good. Next, Burnt Sugar Vanilla by one of my favorite fragrance houses, DSH Perfumes. To me, this is a really nice vanilla that's kind of like if something like By the Fireplace was less smoky, but like still that style of vanilla and like somewhat of a smokiness to it. Rich and delicious, but not too sickly sugary like, a lot of vanilla can easily get. And also not too dry or boozy like some of the more adult niche vanillas are. To me, this is just a quintessential vanilla that's super well done, and I really enjoy it. I would say very unisex. And that one is not that strong longevity or projection wise, so that's nice too when you want like a really nice vanilla that's not weak in terms of the scent profile, but especially if you're going someplace where it wouldn't be appropriate to wear like a really loud fragrance, but you still want it, because most vanilla fragrances can get pretty loud and thick, but you just still want to wear one. That's a great option. Next, Vanille Extreme by Comptoir Sud Pacifique. This is just like delightfully delicious to smell. It is not trying to be, the niche avant-garde, experimental, or whatever highbrow niche vanilla. No, but it also is less cloying and sharp than a lot of cheap vanillas, so I think it's a nice take on like a milky, creamy vanilla ice cream. Again, I sort of get that toasted waffle cone vibe from this one. I would say this one leans feminine, but I would be very interested in layering it with some other stuff to give it, I guess I'm basically just trying to create By the Fireplace. So maybe I could layer it with something smoky. I wonder what that would smell like. But yeah, I think this would be, even if you don't like feminine fragrances, this would be wearable in a layering way and not smell feminine. Next, Vanilla Orchid by Precious Liquid. This is like an intoxicating, creamy, sweet vanilla. Has more depth to it than the typical vanilla in this price range, and I would say it's like pretty intriguing and alluring to smell. Leans feminine, and but as with most of these, it could be unisex in the right context, I think. Almost to me smells like it could be like a niche quality version of like a flanker and a Britney Spears fantasy line. And I mean that as a compliment because I love that one. Next up, Vanira Moorea by Berdoues. This is such a pleasant, uplifting citrus and vanilla scent, and I love vanilla, I love citrus, I love them together. This is like powdery vanilla, energizing citrus, and this like bright, open sky feel. Some people compare this to Guimauve de Noël by Par Moi de Parfum, but personally I like this one a lot better, and it's not quite as citrusy as that one. Next up, Fragrance 01 Taunt by Dedcool. I wasn't sure about this because it has a fairly prominent blackcurrant note, and that's a note that I personally really don't like. But this is one of those fragrances, again, just smells good, period. I wouldn't say it's unique or like a mind-blowing scent profile, but just plain enjoyable to smell. But this is very versatile for a vanilla fragrance that can easily be worn year-round, day or night, unlike a lot of vanillas, which would really get too thick in very high heat. This one, I think, is just way versatile as far as that goes. Probably one of the most versatile vanilla fragrances I can think of, really. And I think it's nice to have another vanilla option for when you want something that's not too strong and that's versatile. So yeah, that one doesn't have strong longevity or projection, but I think it's good to have some that, you can wear in different situations. Next, Sublime Vanille by Creed. This is sort of like a bourbon vanilla style, and I like it way better than most that do that kind of style. The sort of boozy style of the vanilla just gives it this creamy depth without adding any kind of sourness to it or anything like that. Very rich but powdery vanilla, especially very like central tonka bean to this, I would say. I don't know if that's actually in here, I can't remember, but it smells like that to me. And sometimes almost like gourmandy and then like powdery almond tonka type of way too, but in a way that I really like. It's really kind of like refined yet strong and addictive vanilla, but it is very, very expensive. At list price, that one goes for like $600+ for a bottle, though you can get it cheaper on discounters, but I love the smell. Next up, and last on the list, Double Vanille by Guerlain, or specifically Spiritueuse Double Vanille. This, to me, to compare it to something that more people might have smelled, something like Mercedes-Benz Club Black with like a hint of Jazz Club among some other stuff, but then a more like refined, elegant version. Nicely done, high quality, niche quality, I would say, even though Guerlain is kind of a designer, I guess, but it's still very pleasant and mass appealing, so it's not one of those niche ones that's like you have to have an acquired taste to enjoy it or something like that. I almost get this slight cocoa powder accord from it as well. But yeah, really nicely done. Definitely one of the better sort of boozy, thick vanilla type of scents out there. And yeah, I will link in the description for my Best of Vanilla collection, which has all of the ones I'm talking about here as of right now on my Fragrance Decant site. But by all means, look them up elsewhere. And I definitely don't encourage blind buys, but you can, I'm sure, get samples of a lot of these at many different sites. So buy wherever you want. But yeah, if you want to look at them and see the reviews in more in depth, I will link to that as well. And I will also be adding anything to that list that I come across after recording this. So you'll still be able to find like whatever I consider the best of vanilla kind of all in one place right there. And yeah, if you have ones that I did not include, let me know. Probably ones I may have most likely smelled. And there's plenty of others that I like. This is not like, this is every good vanilla scent. These are just ones that to me kind of are the well-rounded picture of like every type of vanilla that I really tend to like a lot.